Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the new set of the Tatiana Show and Proof of Love. I am here in Miami. I have not been making any videos because I've basically been renovating this gorgeous apartment that I moved to. I escaped New Jersey. I am now here in Florida for a while, and I'm here with the king of Florida real estate, Erik Mendelson. Thank you so much for being my very first guest on the set today.
I also escaped New Jersey.
Did you?
About 13 years ago.
Wow. Where in Jersey were you?
Central New Jersey, Piscataway area, Rutgers University area.
Okay, cool. Well, Jersey's weird. Like, I feel like Central and Southern and Northern are just their own little places, but...
They are, but I'm in Central. Everyone thinks it's South. But...
All right. Well, so, Erik, you and I know each other from music, crypto stuff, right? We've done a lot of different panels together over the years. You're one of the very first innovators on the music blockchain side, and I'd love to have you back to talk about that at some point. But what I thought would be really fun for our interview today would be to help people out there understand a little bit more about how they can get real estate through crypto, and also, you know, what is the Florida market like? Everybody's talking about how Miami's this Bitcoin city, right? I'm loving it here. But what's the real estate situation? Like, how does that work in comparison to, you know, hodling? What are the opportunities available to people? And I know that you've been hustling down here, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, appreciate it. So when I moved down here, I didn't have my real estate license, obviously, and I purchased my first home when I was pretty young. It was a $650,000 house. This is in 2006-ish. And about a year and a half later, the crisis happened, right? The housing crisis happened. And there's not too many people who know, but unfortunately, I lost my home to a short sale, not necessarily a foreclosure. So basically, I had to sell the house back to the bank, or the bank accepted less on the house than what it was worth. I paid $650 for it. The new owner of that property paid $335 for it. So they basically paid half of what I paid for the property. And from that moment, I realized that I never wanted another family member or friend or client, because as you know, I come from the music industry, to ever be put in that same situation. So I got my real estate license. And what happened in the housing crisis back then was really the result of banks giving out mortgages to people that didn't deserve them. People were getting mortgages who knew that they couldn't afford the payments, but were taking those mortgages anyways because it was just so easy to get money. And what's happening now in this really hot Miami market or South Florida market, quite frankly, there's actually hot markets all over the country, but I'm just knowledgeable really about Florida, is not like what we saw back then. But I feel like we are going to eventually hit a tipping point for various political and economic reasons. But right now the market is hot, right? And I'm not going to sit here and predict when it's going to slow down. Single family homes, there's less than a 2-month supply of single family homes on the market.
What does that mean, a 2-month supply?
That means that if everyone wanted to buy a home in South Florida, they can sell the inventory in 2 months, which means there would be no more homes. If everyone came and wanted single family homes, we could sell it out in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very low. Usually, if it's a 5-month supply or greater, it's a buyer's market. If it's a 5-month supply or less, it's a seller's market, meaning the sellers are getting premium for their property values. And you know, while the single family home market was decreasing, the condo market was kind of just sitting around. And what I see happening now is that because there's such a low inventory of single family homes, that those people that were considering buying single family homes are now moving on to condos. So now we saw like a 200% increase in condo sales from this year, at this point last year, from between last year and this year, a 200% increase in condo sales. So now, because there's like nothing to buy in the single family home market, everyone's coming and moving into condos in the Brickell area, downtown Miami area, things of that nature.
Wow. Okay, that's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
So, okay, so people are moving here. They're taking up all the houses. Like, do you think that? I mean, you don't want to make predictions, but do you think when we had first started talking, you were saying that there was a 5-year supply of condos, right?
Yeah.
What's happening with that now?
It's like I think 6 months or something. I don't know. I haven't looked at the statistics this morning, but it's not a 5-year supply anymore. It's significantly reduced. But now we also see more buildings, more construction taking place, more developments. So in 2 to 3 years, whatever supply it's been reduced to, we're going to see an influx in that supply. I don't necessarily know if we're going to see an influx in single family homes. I mean, maybe some, but not like condos, because it's easier to build condos.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen in terms of, like, for people? Well, let me rephrase that. Let's say I'm a crypto person, right?
Yeah.
And I want to buy real estate because I've been stacking sats and I don't want to be completely exposed. That's a really scary decision, right? I'm a really hardcore Bitcoin believer, and like, I like to hodl. How can somebody reconcile parting with some of their sats and trying to get into real estate? Like, is that even a good idea right now? Because I look around and I say, well, these prices, they look very inflated to me. Maybe I need to wait. You're not supposed to buy it when everything is high. But then I hear about, BlackRock coming in and buying up all these homes. And I'm like, well, am I just going to, what happens then? Like, how do you kind of balance those decisions, or help your clients balance those decisions?
So it's funny, a friend of mine actually works for BlackRock, so I kind of understand a little bit of their strategy. They're not just buying single family homes, they're buying a lot of commercial real estate as well. The industrial market, specifically like warehouses, industrial market in South Florida, is going through the roof also. I mean, single family homes and industrial property in South Florida is like finding gold under your mattress right now, because we're importing and exporting out of Miami to the rest of the Latin Americas. This is the hub for it. So there's going to be a big import-export business, and Amazon came down here or is coming down here, and you see a lot of e-commerce businesses opening up, and they need warehouses and industrial complexes to ship their products out of. So industrial is also a really good investment. I'm not to sound corny, but obviously, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really give
Well, you are a real estate agent.
I'm sorry. Yes, real estate agent, not a financial advisor.
Fair. Okay.
So I don't want to give financial advice per se.
Right.
But going back to your crypto question, because I am one of the leading cryptocurrency realtors in the country, quite frankly, and certainly in Miami, I've helped a lot of people relocate here. My strategy is to tell my clients not to sell their sats, not to sell any of their crypto, but to leverage that crypto, leverage that one asset to buy another asset, which is property. We as, I don't want to call us Bitcoin maximalists, but we as crypto enthusiasts and crypto holders, we believe Bitcoin's going to go up, right? I personally believe Bitcoin will hit 100,000 or 90,000 by the end of the year. And I believe that Bitcoin is going to appreciate, and even Ethereum is going to appreciate more than the value of property. But property historically has been a winning investment, except of course when I bought it. Then it wasn't such a winning investment. But every other time in the history of America, real estate for the most part has gone up in value. It's appreciated in value. So why not use one asset that you believe is going to significantly appreciate, leverage it, don't give it up to buy another asset. And we can get into my strategies in a second. But that's my overall thesis of when I talk to clients, specifically those in the crypto community.
Okay, cool. So before we break down the financing, I did have another question. One of my concerns with moving into a condo is that there's a lot of regulations, right?
Yeah.
And you got to wear a mask, you got to do this. And I don't like that kind of constriction. I also heard that if you own enough land in Florida, you can even kind of almost set up your own little fiefdom, like your own little country. There's a lot of weird things. I think that a home purchase would allow for more freedom for people. Does that follow suit? Because in New Jersey, I wouldn't want to borrow anything because not only are the property taxes going through the roof, but they're over-regulating everything. So it makes it miserable to even try and own something. What's that look like in terms of permits or whatever? So
in Florida, hopefully I answer your question. In South Florida, they have HOAs. They have homeowners associations for single-family home communities, and then obviously you have your community associations or condo associations for condos. And they both have rules that you have to live by. Condos are more stringent than HOAs, but HOAs have certain things like your house has to be painted a certain color, your lawn has to be cut once a week, it has to be maintained, you can't have big trucks in your driveway, so that you can't have loud parties. If your neighbors complain, you'll get fined. So there's going to be constrictions and regulations whether you're part of a condo association or a homeowners association. But there are also single family communities in South Florida that don't have an HOA community, which also means you're giving up some of your security. So you're not going to have a gate, right? You're not going to have a gate. You're not going to have security at that gate letting people in or out of your complex. So you give up some of that security, but you get some more of your, I guess, freedoms, as you call them, right? And you can kind of do whatever you want on your property within reason. You're right. So
Right. Did you ever hear about that thing where you could buy a big plot of land? Somebody told me that the other day, that if you buy enough land, you can kind of almost set up your own rules in it. In Florida specifically.
I don't know.
I gotta figure out what that's
like
about.
a cult kind of thing?
No, not like a cult. It's a weird thing where if you own enough land and you're rich enough, you could basically like set up your own thing. We don't need to go down that
I'll
path.
I'll look into it.
I'm kind of curious about it too, right? I thought maybe you knew, but I only heard about it the other day. Okay, so let's talk strategy. Let's say I got $1 million. No,
Yeah.
I don't have $1 million. Let's say I want to spend $1 million on an apartment, for example.
Sure.
But I don't have $1 million in crypto.
Sure.
And I don't want to take out a loan for my crypto that's like 11 or 15% because that's not competitive with the regular market. So how would I go about doing something like that?
Right. So I actually have the only bank in America that does what's called a no documentation loan. So what that means is the bank that I deal with will give residential purchasers up to 75% loan to value. So let's just use your example of $1 million property. If the purchase price on that property is $1 million, they will loan you up to 75% loan to value. They'll give you $750,000 traditional mortgage on your property, on your purchase. At a 5.5% interest rate. Don't quote me on that because the interest rates change all the time, but the last loan that I closed for my client was around that. Which is high, right? Because the market right now, the interest rates are around 3%, 3.2%, with a good credit score, 680 or higher. So 5.5%, you're paying about 2 points higher, two point whatever points higher than someone else who wasn't doing a no doc loan was doing, which is like 40% higher in your interest rate. But us, again, as Bitcoiners or cryptoers, 5.5% is not a lot when we believe that Bitcoin can go up 5 or 10% in one day. So over the 30 years of home ownership, do you believe that Bitcoin is going to go up more than 5.5%, a year? And if you believe that Bitcoin will go up more than 5.5% a year, then it makes sense to do this type of loan. Now the banks have a hedged bet on that. They're doing a no-doc loan, which basically means you don't have to show them any tax returns. You don't have to show them income. You don't have to have any income. Maybe a few bank statements, but you don't even need to, under what I've structured with this bank, you don't even need to show bank statements. All they want to see is if your purchase is less than $500,000, that you have 6 months reserves in crypto. If your purchase is $1 million, as you said before, or $500,000 or more, they want to see that you have about 12 months in crypto. So hypothetically, let's say that $1 million purchase is about $5,000 a month mortgage. They want to see that you have $60,000 in crypto. Which is nothing to most people in crypto. I mean, if you're looking at $1 million property, you should have at least $60,000 in crypto. They don't custody your crypto. They don't collateralize your crypto. They don't take it from you. They just want to know when they go to their underwriters, the underwriters are going to say to the bank, hey, bank, how does this woman, Tatiana, why are we going to give her a $750,000 loan? She has no job. She has no income. She hasn't given us any documentation.
I have a job.
She has a really cool jacket on, but I don't want to give her $750,000. So, and the bank is going to say to the underwriters, take it easy. She has hundreds of thousands in crypto. I don't know what it is. She has hundreds of thousands of dollars in crypto. She can afford the mortgage here. She's just a non-traditional, purchaser of a property. Now you have to come up with the other 25% as a down payment. So the banks are kind of hedging their risk. They're giving you a high percent loan, so they know that they're making good money as long as you pay it. But they also know that if you don't pay it, you have about 25% equity into the property already because that's how much they ask you to put a down payment on. So if the bank have to foreclose on you or take the property away like they did in 07, 08, 09, etc., they know that in this market they could sell that property in 2 seconds and they're not going to lose. The banks don't want to lose. Go figure, right? Wow. But you have to come up with 25%. So how do you do that? 2 ways. You can either A, sell your crypto to get your down payment, but the downside of that is you're paying capital gains tax. So if you bought Bitcoin when it was $5,000, I'm sure you've had it when it was less, and Bitcoin is now, let's say, $40,000, that $35,000 difference you're going to be paying capital gains on for XYZ amount of Bitcoins. Who the hell wants to do that? You and I don't. Most people don't. And the other thing is that you miss out on the appreciation once that Bitcoin goes up. So if we believe that Bitcoin is going to go to 90 or 100 or more than $40,000 right now, why would we ever sell that asset to buy another asset when the first asset that we're selling off is going to go up higher than the asset we're buying? Cryptoers, Bitcoiners just don't do that. We leverage it. So you borrow against it. You do a collateralized loan on SmartFi, for example. Mm-hmm. I think SmartFi's rates are like 8 to 10%. Again, they're high.
Well, all of them are, so from what I understand, they're all somewhat on par with one another because there's just so much that they could do.
Yeah, they're honestly, they're all pretty much exactly the same. They do a 50% collateralized loan. So as you know, that means that they will custody that crypto. So if you need, in that $1 million example, if you need a $250,000 down payment, you have to give SmartFi $500,000 in Bitcoin. They're going to custody it, and they'll wire you $250,000 that you can use as the down payment. The difference is that they're custodying it, so you hope that after you pay that loan back, whenever it is, 8 or 10% loan back, 2 years, 3 years, whenever it is, whatever you work out with SmartFi, that Bitcoin that you gave them at that point is exponentially higher when you get it back. So after you pay the loan back, SmartFi is not saying you gave us, $500,000 in Bitcoin, we're going to give you $500,000 in Bitcoin back. They're saying you gave us 30 Bitcoin.
0.5, yeah, exactly.
We're giving you 30 Bitcoin back. At that point, Bitcoin can be worth less or worth more. Regardless, you don't miss out on that appreciation or obviously potential loss in value as well.
Yeah, I'm not looking for the losses though.
Yeah, right. None of us are. And that's why people use the strategies worked for about at least 6 of my clients right now who are non-conventional borrowers, no job, no income, but they're worth, $20 million in Bitcoin, and the banks don't want to finance them, but I found a strategy that does that.
Can I ask you, do you ever think about helping other realtors with this process? So there's only so many houses and things that you can show, right? But there are a ton of realtors that are very interested in that, and they would love to learn, and they'd love to be able to take advantage of that. Is that something that you offer to them? Is that something you can reach out and say, hey, if you're a realtor, give me a cut and I'll help you make this happen? Or is that part of your business model?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I've done other interviews. I spoke a few weeks ago at the Miami Chamber of Commerce, and just from that one speaking engagement, some were realtors and some weren't, I was receiving a ton of emails about other realtors like, Erik, how do I do this? What bank do you use? Can you show me how to do it? Yada yada. And I was like, well, I want to be helpful, but I just don't have all the time in the day to get calls from every single realtor. I mean, I have my own practice that I'm running. So the short answer is that I am actually developing a masterclass.
Oh,
so a few of my friends developed master classes during COVID, and one of my friends made over $5 million doing a master class, non-real estate related. It was like how to generate Facebook ads and YouTube ads. Another one of my friends is teaching financial literacy and how to play the markets, the traditional markets and futures and all the stuff that I'm trying to learn myself. So I figured I should do a master class, a cryptocurrency real estate transaction master class. So I am going to be releasing that very soon.
Cool. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Very good. So here's another concern that I have. I like city living. I like living in a nice building. But there's this whole eviction thing that's happening right now. And all these people are going to start hitting the streets.
Yeah.
How does that affect?
Today, by the way.
Yeah, I know. and frankly, that's a whole other situation, because my mom has a home and a 3-family home that she uses as a rental property to generate income. One of the ladies was there for a year and a half and she hasn't paid just because she doesn't feel like it. So it's infuriating. My concern is, let's say I purchase something in a nice condo, and all of a sudden a bunch of these rugrats are getting evicted. How can you tell that the building will continue to provide the services that you signed up for, that they're not going to jack up your HOA fees or condo fees super high? What do you do in order to mitigate that? Has that been something you guys are thinking about, and how do you think that'll impact the market?
Yeah, great question. So I want to actually talk about your mom's situation. For your mom and others, the government is actually helping landlords for the first time in history, where if your mom's tenants are late on rent, she can actually go apply on their behalf, and your mom, who's the owner of the property, will actually get rental assistance. So the government says, okay, XYZ tenants haven't paid rent for 12 months or 18 months. We're going to pay the landlord directly for that lost rent. So please tell your mom to take advantage of that. And if there's anyone else out there that
is that hard to do, because she's an immigrant, so she's a little bit trickier with the computer stuff.
Well, then quite frankly, you have to show her. I think it may be. I haven't done the process. It may be a half-hour process online, but then of course you got to wait probably for who knows. I haven't gone through the process,
right.
So I'm sure they ask for all types of documentation, maybe lease this and that and a third. They may even ask the tenants to sign off that says that they've been late, but I'm sure that there's a way to bypass that if you have tenants that don't want to do that. But take advantage of these opportunities, because
I'm going to, because it's so much money to have lost, and then when you think about all these other larger companies taking advantage of potentially people's financial troubles, it's very, very disturbing.
Well, I mean, the government got involved in small businesses, right? Your mom, who's a property owner, is technically a small business, and government stepped in there and said, you can't operate your small business, or you can't kick these individuals out. Well, if you're operating your small business, what are you supposed to do? So at least now the government is offering some assistance for putting in those restrictions and saying, okay, we're going to give the landlord, the property owner, some money, because we told them not to kick them out, or not to kick out their tenants, and now we actually got to make them whole again.
I know. With our own money, though.
Yeah, that's true. At the end of the day, we're
giving back to us at like a very high premium.
At the end of the day, we're all paying for it. At the end of the day, so we got to hedge our risks. I hedge my risk with crypto and real estate, right? So I already have my bets made. I actually did a post on Instagram this morning, like, it's coming, right? The foreclosure moratorium ended on the 31st. It ended, I think, on Saturday. So today, the courts have been backed up for over a year, meaning the judges have already kicked out and evicted people, but they can't get a forceful eviction. So the landlords can't forcefully evict them. They can't go throw their stuff out, and the sheriffs can't come and throw their stuff out.
Why? Because they're too backed up, sheriffs?
No, because there was the moratorium.
Oh.
The foreclosures happened on a lot. I'm sorry, not the foreclosures. I apologize.
Evictions.
The evictions happened on a lot of people already, but they can't get kicked out because of the moratorium. But like today is Monday, the sheriffs can go in there now and say, hey, you've been evicted for a year. You got to go now. They can literally drag them out. Literally, they put a 24-hour notice on the door, say you have 24 hours to vacate, or we will come tomorrow and forcefully remove you from the property.
Wow. That's going to be like a showdown all around the country.
It's going to be a real shit show. Yeah.
You know, the thing that's really upsetting about it is the fact that some of these people feel like they don't need to pay it back. And I don't know, like, I was so upset that this lady was just taking advantage of my mom. Her financial situation didn't change at all. At all. And she was just like, woohoo, free money. So, I mean, that's just, we're in a pickle right now.
Well, keep in mind, the moratorium ended nationally on the 31st of this month of July.
Right.
I don't know when, but I know it's coming, that the unemployment benefits that everyone have been getting, including independent contractors like myself, I mean, I'm not getting it, but other independent contractors, that unemployment assistance is also ending, I think, very soon, like in a month or two. So you have the moratorium where people are getting kicked out of their homes soon, or renters who are getting kicked out of their homes soon. And now you have people that were relying on this government assistance that are no longer going to be getting it. Oh, we're in for a real show.
Okay, so what happens? What happens now? Okay, so now I'm living in this great place. Woohoo, fun. But now all of a sudden everybody's getting evicted and they're not paying their bills anymore. So how does that affect me? And does that continue to make it such a safe investment? I mean, then I start feeling like, well, I have at least more control over my outcome by doing a single family home. Well, and I'm not dependent on these wild people.
Well, keep in mind, we're talking about people that have essentially been, we're not talking about owners. We're talking about people that have essentially been squatting for free in your building.
Yeah.
Do you really want them in your building anymore? Right?
No.
Right? You want them out so that the landlord can get another new tenant in there. So I wouldn't be concerned too much about that. I would be more concerned about what happened in Surfside recently, unfortunately, when people lost their lives and the building came down.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So can you tell, like, for people who are not so familiar with that story, because everybody was calling me and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm not even there. But, I mean, that was apparently negligence that caused that, right?
Obviously negligence on a lot of people's behalfs. I mean, City of Surfside let some contractor come down here and put that building, and fortunately that contractor passed away, I think when he was 86, but the guy had buildings collapsing in Canada from what I read. Yeah. So they're now investigating, like, the architect or the builder of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's negligence all the way around, but that when you speak about, condo associations making assessments on their tenants, the association I think it was like a $5 million assessment, and if you're living in the building and you're like part of the association and you're voting on whether or not you should assess these assessments to the rest of the owners, more than likely people don't want to pay $5 million in assessments collectively, prorated, right? So they just kept kicking the can down the road and saying, we don't want it, there's no way this building's going to fall, there's no way this building's going to fall. Then they did another engineering report, and the engineering report said the damage has increased exponentially from, I think they did the report in 2018. They said it's gone, or don't quote me on this, but 2018, and they said, okay, it's no longer $5 million, it's gone exponentially worse, it's now $10 million or $15 million. So it went up like 2 or 3 times from their initial assessment because they kept kicking the can down the road.
Oh.
So now imagine them coming to you and saying, hey, you have a $15 million. Now it's gone up. Now you got to pay $15 million to fix it. building takes a vote, no, we don't want to do it. So I think the building started to fix certain things, like they were in the process, and then unfortunately the building came down. So,
oh my gosh, I didn't know about all that. So how do you know that you're not going to end up, having your building collapse because you were greedy and you didn't want to spend a little extra cash, right? I mean, how can you figure that out before you buy and after?
That's just it. You don't want to find out after you buy. These are things that you want to do in the diligence phase. It's called reserves. That building had no reserves. So what that means is it should be, I think, around 6% reserves is comfortable. So you got to ask your building, got to have your agent, your realtor, get that information from the association during that 14 or 15 day inspection period, which is the legal law in Florida. Get 15 days to inspect. In that 15 days, get all the records from the association, get all the engineering reports, get their budget, what do they spend the money on, and most importantly, how much reserves do they have from years past, and how much reserves do they collect. So HOA fees, I think in that building were like $1,000. They were very high condo fees. So they should have been putting away 6% of those condo fees every what is it, like $60 or something? Every month that they collected from each tenant, they should have been putting $60 away for the in case shit happens scenario where they get these assessments and they already have these reserves to cover a good portion of the assessments. They weren't obviously, again, I'm not a lawyer, they obviously weren't properly maintaining that building. Wow. So where was the money going? Right? It's Florida, the Shadyville, right?
Yeah, why is Florida so shady?
Because
I heard that, and I kind of feel that vibe a little bit sometimes. Everybody's been super nice, but a lot of people have warned me about that Florida's a very shady place.
Believe it or not, it actually kind of ties into real estate.
Really?
We have something called the homestead exemption.
Okay.
So the homestead exemption protects criminals.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? What does that mean?
The homestead exemption does two things for property owners. If your primary residence is in Florida, which means you're here for 6 months and a day or something like that, don't quote me. If this is your primary residence, this is where you vote. Your driver's license is here, and you have a primary residence. You can have 100 homes all over the place, but as long as your main home is in Florida, they can't raise your property taxes more than 3% a year. So look at what's happening right now where homes have gone up 20 or 30% in value since COVID. When the property appraiser, tax appraiser comes around, they're going to say, you bought the home for $600,000, now it's $1 million. So we're going to tax you at that $1 million. We're going to give you a property tax at that $1 million. Well, if that keeps going and going and going, eventually you'll be taxed out of your home from property taxes. So the homestead exemption restricts that to only 3% a year.
How is that helping criminals? The criminal part.
The other thing that it does is it says that as long as you pay, the homestead exemption, as long as you pay your mortgage and your taxes, we cannot take your home away for you for any reason, including murder.
Wow.
Which is why there are a lot of criminals.
Epstein, this is his house.
O.J. Simpson. I mean, I can go on and on about
Wow, there's a lot of people. That's crazy.
I can go on and on about a lot of criminals that relocate here. I mean, O.J. Simpson was living in L.A. for like his whole life. Right before he goes to jail, he buys a home here. Why? Because while he was in jail, he owned a home here, to my knowledge, because I couldn't take it away from him as long as his taxes and his insurance, his mortgage and his taxes were paid. So
that's very attractive. I mean, not that I'm planning on taking up crime, but
no, it's attractive for business people also, people who are in the limelight, celebrities, quite frankly, high net worth individuals, because high net worth individuals are always in the mix of some sort of lawsuit, right? So you can. Not saying it's going to happen, but you can go on the road tomorrow and unfortunately get into a car accident and kill someone, and then that family can come after you for a civil suit and say, Tatiana or Erik killed me in an accident. I want to sue them for everything. I'm taking their whole home away. Well, they can't. They can sue you for everything but your home, right? So, or if you owned, you own your own business, or I own my own business, and who knows
what happens. Does that work with condos too?
Yes.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yep. Homestead exemption applies to anything as long as it's your primary residence.
Wow. Do you think that Florida is going to continue to stay competitive?
In the real estate market?
In general, so I've heard that there might be some restrictions coming down the crypto pipeline here, turning it into almost like a New York. That's some kind of insider early information, but that's what I'm getting, that Florida might make it quite difficult for crypto. So far, it seems like they've been very welcoming to the crypto community, so I'd be surprised if they started to put in laws like that. But what do you think about it long term?
I mean, I not to get all political, but I don't see DeSantis doing that, and definitely I don't see Mayor Suarez doing that. I mean, he's very pro-crypto, pro-business. So you got to outside of this
We'll
interview.
talk about it offline,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you my secrets, and
Okay.
then we'll
All
figure
right.
out.
You gotta let me know the secrets. But no, I think that would be a problem if they started to do that, because right now the most crypto-friendly city-state in America is considered Wyoming, and I think that Miami's right on their heels.
Yeah,
So-
and we do have better weather.
And we have better weather. Yeah.
I would like to go to Wyoming, though. I
Yeah.
met a nice gal from there. She's going to tell me a little bit more about what they're doing over there, because they're trying to bring a lot of that mining energy industry into there.
I'm also
from what I understand.
My master class that I spoke about, I'm also going to be focused on getting clients out of Wyoming to take the master class. So
Oh, cool.
it's like New York, Austin, Florida, California, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, and then fucking Wyoming.
Okay. All right. Cool. So when is your master class going to come out?
I'm actually in the middle of, I have the class, the structure, but I'm not so good with like video editing and all that stuff, so I'm hiring a video editor to come in.
I can help you with that. I know some people. I got some friends.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I'll use this setup here. And
What do you guys think? You like this setup? Yeah, no.
I like it. It's pretty cool.
I'm so excited. I love these little nano leaves.
So if you take my master class and you see the setup in the background, you know where it came from.
Yeah, and we could change the colors to your preference.
All right, cool. This is cool.
Yeah, I like it too. Okay, so anything else that you want to tell me about real estate? I feel like we've given people a lot of information. There's going to be links to your info in the show notes.
Cool.
Where can people reach out to you, and what are some kind of final tips that you can offer?
Yeah, well, you can always reach out to me like on Instagram, Erik Answerman, so ErikAnswerman. Cryptocurrency Realtors with an S, it's plural.com. It's going to be the website. I haven't launched it yet, but cryptocurrencyrealtors.com is where you can take the masterclass or sign up for the masterclass in real estate. It's not just for realtors. It's for crypto savvy people like us that want to learn, or people who own property, or people who want to be future property owners can take the class and learn how to leverage their one asset, their cryptocurrency, to buy another asset. Now you have two assets.
Is that just for realtors, or is it for crypto holders? It's for both,
No, it's for
right?
both. Yeah, it's for anyone. It's just people who want to be educated, right? Information is power.
Okay. What about your little secret banker relationship? Can people talk to you? Because I know you're not spilling the secret sauce. What if someone wants to pay you for some of the sauce?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. So if there's realtors outside of Florida, right, where I'm not licensed to practice, and they have a deal with the cryptocurrency client, and they reached out to me, I will help facilitate that interaction between my lender and their client.
Great. That's very nice of you. I like it. Yeah, Erik's been very available. Highly recommend him. This has been a super helpful conversation. You've been just very informative throughout the process, so I appreciate that.
I'm jealous of this jacket.
Thanks for coming on to the Tatiana Show.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
See you later, guys.
What's the point of all this technology without a little love in our lives? Our hosts, Tatiana Moroz and Lauren Kasovitz, have come together to bring you Proof of Love. Go to proofoflovecast.com. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond. Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show. Thank you for listening to the Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. You are listening to The Tatiana Show. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on The Tatiana Show is intended as financial advice, legal advice, or really anything other than entertainment. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're listening to us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on or of any sponsors or any affiliate products you may hear about on this show.